So obviously a lot of talk about the batches right now with the new combat being added, and a lot of people are asked when the batch is getting split, and the worst answer they probably could have gave for me is, which they did, is we don't know yet. And they must have known this 2 sagas ago, 2 months ago. So this has been coming where they must have realised that up to 10. So they said that, oh, we've got to discuss it. And I don't understand why it hasn't been discussed already. So the big discussion around is that whether weapons should be in with the batches or not. So right now, as you can see, so we've got 1, 2, 3, and up to Sawtooth, 5 up to Sidetrack, 7 Big Daddy, 8, 9 with Victory Leo. So talking to most people, they say that normally, I weren't sure whether it was 10 or 11, but most people say when it gets to 10, then that's a cut off, and then they split them into batches, and then, so when they add, I think it's Sentis' sword to this batch, that should split maybe. But then the big discussion point was, well, Sentis' sword is not a combat, so maybe that will go into a separate weapons one. I'm not too happy with that. I understand what they're doing with it, but then Victory Leo is kind of like a weapon, and Victory Leo is only available to Star Saber. Now, if they're going to put them all in a weapons thing, they should have started that with Victory Leo. They should have started that with maybe even Kunai, because they're very individual ones. Someone brought up a good point that even I didn't think about. I was like, you know what, it's a really valid point in the Cybertron chat. And they said, what if you've got Victory Leo in this batch, and you don't really have 5-star or 4-star Star Saber at a decent level, and you pull him, he's useless. And that's quite poor, that you're going to get a combat that is useless. And not because it's bad, but because you don't have that bot. And I said the same thing about Wheeljack, roughly. I said that, you know, the fact it goes on Wheeljack, what if you don't have Wheeljack? What if you're a new player coming to the game and you think, oh, I've got my first ever combat, I'm going to pull from this batch, because Wozza said there's a lot of good bots in here. And there is. And then they pull Kunai, and they're a new player, so I'm not too sure what these guys do. And they go, I've just pulled Kunai. What's he like? Is he good? Am I good? And then someone will go, yeah, he's alright. If you've got Wheeljack. Oh, I don't have Wheeljack. At least you can equip Kunai on different bots. With Victory Leo, I'm honest, I forgot that Kunai can be equipped on more, which is still bad, but Victory Leo's even worse, because you're just stuck with him then. So it's not really fair for those that don't have that bot. So Victory Leo should be equipped by more. I'm not a big fan of these bot-specific combats. They need to make them viable for other bots. And if they're not, they need to be totally separate from these batches. And you need to understand that these are only specific for those bots, and probably at a lower cost as well, which I can't see Space Ape doing. And there's a reason for that, and it's because every time they bring something out, it is overpriced. Whether it is the 5-star Omega part, whether it is the ranks, whether it is the 4-star Titan event, no matter what it is overpriced every single time. And for me, honestly, I would put Victory Leo, I would put Star Saber's sword in a totally separate batch and do it at maybe 3,000 shards. And say, listen, you can have a go at these at only 3,000 shards, but understand, if you get one of these, it's only available for X bot. That would be fine with. Bit of a disclaimer, less cost, but a bit more of a gamble. Top players will find that really easy. They can go, oh, I can get these because I've got all the bots. Lower down players might think, I'm going to avoid them because I've not got all the bots, but I know I can go back to this batch and get something good. And that's my sort of thinking behind it. Not going to happen in a million years, guys. I'm going to tell you right now. If they do split a batch, Victory Leo might go with the Star Saber sword. They might do that. And I'll guarantee they'll put it at 5,000 shards. Exactly the same.